It's common in air quotes, infused with the scent of potpourri. The films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer, a weekly podcast reviewing 2 new or recent release titles every episode with an occasional free-for-all segment at the end that we call Potpourri. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find more of my work, including my written reviews, full episode show notes, and the complete backlog of our episodes and spin-off podcasts at obsessiveviewer.com. And you can also follow me on Letterboxd and other social media platforms at the username of Obsessive Viewer. And if you'd like to support us and get access to hundreds of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Recently on Patreon, I did an FYC Potpourri episode where I talked about 4 movies that I watched in the run-up to the IFJA awards. So I talked about Bob Trevino Likes It, Splitsville, and The Perfect Neighbor, and one other one that I can't remember. So that's on Patreon. Video version is on Patreon for $5 and $10 patrons, but everyone else gets access to audio only for that. I also am doing reviews of It, Welcome to Derry. I've got 5 of those up now on Patreon, going episode by episode. And finally, I have finally completed my Long Walk Along review. I just finished that today. And yeah, so that should be up by the time you guys are listening to this episode. Once again, you can sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for all of that and a bunch more content. And if you want to support me without messing around with Patreon, you can always buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/obsessiveviewer. And this week on the show, this is a special New Year's Eve episode. It is the final episode of The Obsessive Viewer for 2025. And as such, we are just going to be doing one thing, and that is talking about the IFJA top films of the year as voted on by the Indiana Film Journalists Association. And joining me for this episode are 2 of my friends and colleagues from the IFJA. They are collectively known as the Odd Trilogies podcast, but we've got Andy Carr making his repeat return to the podcast. You can follow him on Letterboxd at Dandible on Letterboxd, like Mandible with a D. And joining us for the first time on the Obsessive Viewer podcast is Logan Sowash, the co-host of Odd Trilogies, and you can follow him on Letterboxd at Sowash Yourself. Logan and Andy, welcome to the show, and how's it going?
Thank you so much for having us, Matt. Yeah, we're good. We're here to... I'm excited. Thank you for letting me join the pod.
Of course.
I'm excited to talk about these movies. It's also my first year with the IFJA, so it was a pleasure to go through all the conversations and discussions surrounding the top 10. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you.
Excited to be back. It's kind of become a little bit of a tradition for the past few years for me to be here for this IFJA top 10 reflection. So
it has. This is your
especially with my
3rd or
co-host
4th.
now.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So I'm excited to have both of you guys on here, especially Logan. Like you said, this was your first year in the IFJA. So I'm looking forward to mining like all the stuff from you of like your first experience with the IFJA.
For sure.
Who in the group do you hate? Who in the group do you love? Like, let's figure it out.
Year 2, we can get into that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say it was a treat to have Logan in the IFJA meeting this year, so we could, 1-2 the whole organization on our animation recommendations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gosh, I felt like that was the most we were talking at the same time. Because I didn't even realize. It was funny because when I joined when we were doing our discussions, I didn't even realize Andy was in the call because there were just so many people on there and just the way that it was all set up. And so Andy would just pop in from time to time. But then when we talked about animated films, it was just like me and him on the screen, it seemed like, for a while.
Nice. Yep. And to your credit, I mean, you got The Legend of Hey 2 as runner-up. So
we sure did.
Yes,
yeah,
we did. And we were kind of expecting K-pop Demon Hunters to take it anyway, but we were glad to say our piece and not have Zootopia 2 take it just because it's Zootopia 2.
Right. Yeah, I think I can reveal. I'm pretty sure I voted for Zootopia 2 at some point in there. Maybe as like my number 3.
Well, it's not, I'm not even saying.
Nice to see you. I'll see you guys later.
I mean, I'm not even saying Zootopia 2 is a bad movie. I'm just saying, like, in terms of when we were talking about animated films, it just felt like when it came to Legend of Hay or even Neja 2, we were going to be having an uphill battle with that conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I did my due diligence. I watched Legend of Hay 2, and I did vote for it, so it was good.
Yeah, thank you for the Hay 2 rise up. Hay 2 rise up. Exactly. It'll get a dub in 2 years probably, but we will talk about it then.
So you guys, this is the first time you guys are both on the show with me. I've been on your show a few times over the last year or two. Why don't you, if you could, tell the audience what Odd Trilogies is and what you guys are all about over there?
Logan, you want to do your regular spiel?
I can. I was wondering if you wanted to take the spiel this time, but yeah, I can do that. With Odd Trilogies with Logan and Andy, we strive ourselves to take, a trio of films, whether tied by cast and crew, thematic elements, or just even numerical order, whether it's just a 1, 2, 3 of a standard trilogy, and discuss each film and the good, the bad, and the weird surrounding them. And it was a creation that we came up with during the pandemic era. We kind of talked, I had always kind of, been curious about doing a podcast in some way, shape, or form. And, Andy and I can spend hours, just the two of us, talking about movies. So we just had a conversation about, could we do a podcast like this? And Andy was like, I don't know how many Odd Trilogies are there. And I think I came back with a double-sided piece of paper completely filled to the brim with trilogies. And that was 5 years ago. Right. And here we are. and now we're 100 plus
to it. Yeah.
Yes, we do. It's 100 plus episodes later, a website later, and here we are.
Beautiful. And you guys also write reviews on your website. And
we do, yes.
Yeah. And in addition to the Odd Trilogy stuff, you do one-off episodes that are like frequel episodes of your podcast, as well as just kind of short single review episodes as well.
Yeah.
So you run the gamut of several different things.
Sure. Yeah. We try our best to try to keep, I guess, our finger on the pulse in terms of just like if we have an episode that could tie into something that's coming out recently, like we do. I mean, we're not going to give too much away, but in terms of our first few episodes of next year, I think we have some ideas that pertain to newer releases, but also things that we are really interested in talking about. But we try to do a nice balance between, there's a movie coming out that we think could tie into a trilogy and do stuff like with you and like, for example, with you, Matt, like the Kurosawa stuff, like where it's just really
doing
stuff.
Yeah.
That is really
we're like particularly interested, satisfies our weird curiosities.
Yes.
And we'll keep doing Kurosawa trilogies as much as we can.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I am there for it all the way. Absolutely. So you can find Logan and Andy's work at oddtrilogies.com. And as we said before, Logan, this was your first year in the IFJA. Andy and I have been members for several years now at this point. Do you want to just talk a little bit about your experience as a first-time IFJA member this year in regards to, did it alter your viewing habits at all, and how did you feel about the whole process of voting and arguing with all of us?
No, I really enjoyed it. I was really happy to be a part of it because in terms of listening to Andy talk about his experiences with the IFJA, I was just really curious about, what it would be like to be a part of it. And so for this year to kind of see it firsthand, it was interesting to just... I will admit, when it came to the voting process, I did kind of wait until 3/4 of the year had kind of gone by to really look in and start to use the nomination sheets as to just like clarify, am I the only one who thought this movie felt like it had something here to offer, or am I missing a film that just maybe I missed it like on a limited release or hasn't come out yet, or I had to miss a screening. Like, I think there are a few films, especially in the last few months, where like I couldn't unfortunately go to a screening that you guys all went to, and then I would look in the nominations and see that people were putting it up there. I imagine Andy felt that way too when we were able to see Marty Supreme.
Yeah.
And then Marty Supreme just got like plastered all over.
I was Squidward at the window watching you guys play with Marty Mauser.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think in terms of what I was expecting for the voting, I will admit, like, I probably could have been more, like, opinionated in the discussions, but I really was just, like, trying to watch the structure and how everyone's talking about it, and just and I really I loved all the opinions. I really enjoyed just hearing just how many films were getting touched on, even the ones that even if there's one person that was really into one specific film, they've had their voice heard about that. And we even had conversations about things that we were like, hey, I know this has nothing to pertain to this nomination, but we should probably discuss this for future voting. And no, I was really honored to be there. It was really exciting to see the whole list come out, to be able to vote, to just be, even be on the Slack channel. It was really nice just to see everyone talk about it. So yeah, I was really happy. I'm really excited for this year, and I'm excited for next year with that.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you on board.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Andy, did you have any standouts from this year's IFJA voting process and everything, or?
Well, I mean, I just, kind of expanding on Logan's, like, gratitude for the experience. The meeting is always fun because, I mean, it may be the only time in a year that we're really hearing, like, each other talk at length about movies, aside from, like, reading each other's work or listening to a podcast episode, but, like, face-to-face interfacing about movies. It's kind of like our only major chance in a year. So that's always fun. And it's always cool to me to see what movies take up space in the conversation, because it's not always the, like, movies you expect, or even the movies that end up winning.
Yeah.
You sometimes go in thinking like, okay, well, this, writing off one of the nominees is like, this guy has no chance, we're not going to talk about him. And then he takes up half the conversation for that category. And, that's just always kind of a fun surprise.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree. This was your fourth or fifth year, I think.
I think it was my fifth meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
I joined in like January of 2020. So my first meeting, I think, was the end, or like basically there were in-person meetings up until I joined, and then now they're all digital. They're all online.
Yep.
Yeah.
My first year was the last in-person one that they had. Yeah. So it was sorry to have ruined it for everyone.
Did you just like rent a room in the Marriott or at TGI Fridays? Like what was like? What did that look like?
It was a single table at TGI Fridays.
Yeah, it was a single table.
They're all crowded
the longest
around.
Table they could offer.
No, we actually used an office space that I don't think I'm speaking out of school or anything, but our colleague Sam, his workplace, we used a conference room at his work. And what's funny is that like he now works, like the building he works in now is a different building and everything. But the one that we had it in is like now, like it's right next to where I live now. Like I didn't live here before and now I do. So I don't know. It's mildly interesting, I guess. So, but yeah, so once again, you can follow Logan and Andy's work at oddtrilogies.com. And yeah, are you guys ready to talk about the top 10 films of the year per the IFJA?
Yeah, let's do it.
Nice. All right. So as we normally do each year on this episode, we are going to go alphabetically through the finalist lists. The IFJA, we vote on awards and we award movies with awards. And for the best film, we have one best film and a runner-up, followed by 8 finalists to make up a top 10 list. So what we're going to do is go alphabetically through the finalists, and then we're going to conclude with the runner-up and the film of the year. I am hoping that by the time we have this episode up on New Year's Eve, I'm hoping that on Patreon, I will have a full breakdown of the IFJA winners from each category, because I do that yearly, but I've dragged my feet this year, and I'm trying to scramble to get everything done by the end of the year. So hopefully that'll be up on Patreon. If not, it will be up at some point. But yeah, without further ado, let's go into the alphabetized finalists of the 2025 IFJA Awards. And getting us kicked off is Bob Trevino Likes It. Did Logan and Andy like it, much like Bob Trevino did?
I will have to say this was probably the biggest surprise nominations-wise when I was, the tail end of this year, just looking through, because I remember seeing a trailer for this a few months ago, and being like, oh, I didn't really think anything of it. And then when I saw the nominations, everyone was kind of putting it in. I was very shocked to see it up there, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I'm not surprised. I'm like not surprised people really gravitate towards it in the IFJA, just because like there is a earnestness to this movie that I feel like, people can very much gravitate towards. And also just in general, especially when it comes to a good film, the lead performances do a lot of the film justice. And I think Barbie Ferreira and John Leguizamo are a great duo. But I don't want to take it all over. Andy, what did you think?
I was also pretty surprised by... Well, I was surprised that it ended up in the top 10, but not because I didn't enjoy it. I think this movie's very good, especially for, what is kind of, at least on the surface, a fairly standard feel-good film. But watching it, and for a good chunk of the movie, I remember thinking like, okay, this is, charming enough. Barbie's good. Leguizamo's good. But, this is going to have to, like, surprise me somehow, or else I'm just going to be like, yeah, another solid movie of the year. And then there's a couple scenes in this that really just, I think go the extra mile and take a little turn that you might not expect from a movie like this. And, I really do think Barbie and John Leguizamo do a lot of work to sell the thing at another level. And also, speaking of surprises, French Stewart in this movie is mind-blowing. I didn't even realize it was him until the credits rolled. I really enjoyed this one. I don't know if it would be in my personal top 10, but a very strong and hugely surprising movie.
Yeah, if you're the one person in 2025 film bingo to have, and French Stewart was surprising in this movie, congratulations, because none of us could have expected
seriously
a French Stewart performance that was like, it really does come out of nowhere in a way that is like, because again, it's like the Barbie Ferreira of it all is she got big in Euphoria and has had a few other films since then, and it's been nice to see her feel like the more she's been detached from Euphoria these last year or two, she's been able to do something like this and really kind of flesh out her talents as well as her own kind of independence as a creator, as an actor. And it was wild to be like, if it was just her and Leguizamo, I think there's enough there. But her and French Stewart have, some great emotional moments that were like, it's a movie that I think initially, I was in the same boat, Andy, where like, I think when the movie starts, it's like, okay, I want to see what other people in the IFJA are seeing this. I'm enjoying it. And then like as the film progressed, I think all the way up until the end, I was getting more and more kind of impressed, all the way up to where I think that final scene is pretty phenomenal. And I was like, wow, like it's a film that I feel like could have really gotten, this idea of making friends over the internet and like projection and loving yourself and just being able to give yourself the grace and show in a version of the internet that is, very positive, but isn't overwhelmingly positive without, discussing how it can be negative to you if you only solely focus on all my friends or what I'm doing on the internet. Like, I think is a very more about the using that as a self-reflection. I think is very interesting, and I had a good time with it. And you can't go. I mean, Leguizamo is Leguizamo. Like it's a delight.
Oh my God, he's
him.
amazing.
Yeah.
And going back to the French Stewart of it all, like that performance is so, it's so provocative in a way. Like he's playing a complete piece of shit asshole, like absolutely terrible person, and that it comes about in such an organic way and makes Lily's journey so much more difficult because it is a coming of age story. It's also a story about friendship and found family and grief, all of these different things. And the way that it all kind of coalesces together is just really well done. And just like those three performances themselves are just absolutely just really fantastic.
Yeah. It's funny to say because I think we have a lot of the films on the top 10, a lot of the choices here definitely have this aspect to it, but I think it's a good thing with Trevino about the idea of the importance of vulnerability for connection.
Yes.
And I think even on this kind of level with this an independent film, like it's very much so that even the core of that movie, clearly this is not a Marty Supreme level like budget or like, in terms of just kind of the craziness of this is a movie that just understands that regardless of the star power or regardless of, how funny something is or how sad something is, if you get the vulnerability right and the human aspect of it, people will be interested and will really connect with the characters. And I think this movie shows that well and made a good reason why by the end of it, I was like, okay, I get it. I get why so many people put this in their top 10. Is it personally? I mean, it's not personally in my top 10, but I still really like that it's up there because it shows a different, kind of variety and shows kind of the importance of, the discussions of giving that variety.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a movie you don't necessarily expect to see an awards group throw a lot of flowers to. It might be a movie that your friend catches on a streaming service and is like, hey, that was actually really good. And like you watch it and you're like, oh yeah, that's really cute. But like
you can go ahead and say his name. It's Joe.
yeah, it is Joe in this case. To recognize at the level that we did, and I know, we're just the humble Hoosiers, but, to recognize it at the level in our awards that we did, I think speaks to how effective especially those three main performances are and just the kind of extra mile in Tracy Lehman's script. So, yeah, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
A nice surprise.
Yeah. Next up on the list, again, going alphabetically, this is a movie that I didn't necessarily take that much of a liking to. And Andy, I know that you just recently watched it. It's Hamnet by Chloe Zhao, Paul Mescal, and oh my God, I can't remember who else is in it. I don't have it right in front of me.
Is it Emily Watson?
Emily Watson.
Yeah, Emily Watson. Yes. We got two Jupes in there.
Oh, the Jupes. The Jupe Square. That's right.
Jupe Troop.
Yep. It is the romantic drama, grief, sadness story of the events that inspired the tragedy of Hamlet. First of all, I just want to say, little awkward that they didn't do spell check. It's Hamlet, not Hamnet, but
I kept making that joke silently to myself every time I saw the trailer. I was like, I can't believe they spelled it wrong.
And we're not going to spoil anything just to get that out there. But there is toward the end of the movie, there's an emotional scene where I was just like, I kept thinking like, wow, theater etiquette was dead even then. But yeah.
I will give a big disclaimer, and I want Andy's thoughts on this first, since he's the most recently seen this. But I will say we have done an episode on Chloe Zhao on Odd Trilogies, and I love pretty much everything she's done so far. So I'm a bit biased for a lot of her stuff. So I will say that I just want to get that out of the way, just so if it comes to it, we do have some experience with her stuff. Which, in case you out there listening don't know, she's known for The Rider, Nomadland, and of course her biggest film that everyone loves, Eternals. You. But yeah, I was to say, Andy, with you being the one that's seen it the most recently, what were your takeaways now that you finally have seen it?
Well, I mean, I was admittedly not like psyched to watch this movie to begin with. I mean, I think that's why it ended up being the last of these 10 movies that I ended up getting to, because it wasn't high, like, it wasn't screaming at me on my radar. Nothing against Chloe Zhao or any of the cast. I just remember seeing the trailer and being like, okay, it's an Oscar award season movie, So I kind of went into it. I was intrigued mostly by the range of opinions among my friends and peers, because a lot of them loved it. Some of them hated it. A few were caught in between, kind of ambivalent. And so I was curious about where I'd land. And I'll say this, that I think some of the performances in this movie are downright incredible. Mostly because I think I'm always impressed when a movie that, answer revealed, I don't love, still like moves me intensely through like just the actors' performances. And this movie is a case of that, where like I was not super taken with the story or the depth of the characters. But there are a few scenes, particularly from Jessie Buckley and Jacoby Jupe, and to some extent also Paul Mescal and Noah Jupe. They also do a really good job. There are just some scenes where I was like, man, I didn't think I was very invested in this, but this scene's like got me hanging on their every word. And I think that just speaks to the immense talent on display in this movie. Even if I felt like overall the characters were a little thin and the drama of it was a little one note for my liking. I didn't like dislike the movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. And I still think Chloe Zhao is a technically confident and compelling filmmaker. And I'm still curious about what she'll do from here. But yeah, this one it didn't really do a ton for me.
Yeah, same here. I will echo those thoughts about the performances. Jessie Buckley, I'm upset at myself that I forgot her name earlier, but she gives a very, very strong performance. And the thing that I feel is the most lacking about the movie is in the way that it's telling the story. It kind of It goes into a couple of different areas that are kind of fantastical to an extent, and I feel like it didn't really hammer those home quite as strong as it could have. And then also the theater etiquette thing. But yeah, the performances were amazing. Paul Mescal is someone who I think our friend Nick Rogers said this about Gladiator 2, that he just looks like someone who, I think the phrasing that he used was, he looks like someone who's really excited about a new cherry flavored vape. Like, he just looks too modern.
He's got an Instagram face.
Yes, he has an iPhone face.
Yeah, he very much feels like his performances vary to person in terms of just whether they like it or not. And because I think if I remember was Gladiator 2 24? Was that literally last year?
Last year, yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah, because Andy, you didn't really like Mescal's performance in Gladiator 2, right? You thought there's you're kind of off on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do a lot for me, but it didn't feel so much like he did a poor job as it was just weird casting.
No,
for
sure,
that role.
Well, I bring it up because, to me, he was one of the high points of 2 for me. So, it was kind of I think with him, it's just he does have this kind of interesting range with so many people. Where he does have 5 films come out this year or something like that. So
yeah,
it's, I do. Yeah, I think Hamnet, his performance shows pretty clearly why he is an it man for right now, like an it boy for right now, in terms of like the fact that he is playing a fictionalized. It's a mostly fictionalized story, but like a version of William Shakespeare that feels very much like he's not trying to make it his version of this actor's portrayal of this person from like the 70s or like the 80s. Like there's an authenticity to it that I think, is amongst all of the performances. But I will definitely say that I think out of all of them, Jacoby Jupe is the one that shocked me the most. I think
same here.
Because I think this movie I think it's great. It's not my favorite Zhao. I do think both Rider and Nomadland I prefer more than this, but I will admit I think with Andy, I think there was a part of it where it's like the story is not really going to pull me as much as I think, so I'm really going to see how these performances do. And I gotta say, while I wouldn't put this as my favorite film of the year, I'm not going to be surprised when Buckley probably gets a nomination, Mescal gets a nomination, and you know it's got talent across the board in front of and behind the camera. So I think it makes sense as to why it's one of our finalists.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Even if it didn't really work for me all that well, I still see the appeal of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also regarding Jacoby Jupe, I don't want to diminish his performance, which is incredible, especially for an actor of his age. But it's also unusual that a movie demands this much of such a young performer. Like I was shocked in some of these scenes where I was like, there's no way this scene like works nearly this well unless you have an actor who's this good playing I don't even know how old he is, but he's tiny, It's
he's a tiny boy,
the ambition, I guess on the casting director's part, I guess on Chloe Zhao's part of being like, no, we know this kid's got it. We're going to push him there, is kind of surprising and impressive, and Jacoby Jupe rises to the occasion. So that was just an interesting takeaway from this movie.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's very much a testament both to his performance and to Chloe Zhao as a director. Like getting that performance, like that level of performance out of him is a feat in and of itself. He was fantastic. That's Hamnet. Any other thoughts, or should we go on to the next movie on the list?
We can we continue.
Nice. All right. Well, next up on the list is a movie that is now streaming on Hulu, I believe, but it is The Life of Chuck, which is a movie that I hold near and dear to my heart. It is no surprise. It's going to be my top movie of the year when I record the year in review episode in a few weeks. But my God, this movie is amazing. Based on the novella by Stephen King, written and directed by Mike Flanagan, starring Mark Hamill and Tom Hiddleston and a whole bunch of people. Mia Sara. It's
God, Mia Sara. Yeah, I always have to remind myself. She's so good, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that's who that is.
Yeah,
every time I think about it.
Yep. Just a beautiful, beautiful story. One of my favorite Stephen King novellas, and Mike Flanagan brought it to life beautifully as only he can with Stephen King. So, what did you guys think of The Life of Chuck? And what did you think?
I gotta say, for King fans, it must be eaten up this year. Like it's insane. Just like. Even if the weakest part of that is The Running Man, it is kind of wild the amount of other things of like King related stuff that's come out this year, and has been consistent. And the most surprising stuff being like Welcome to Derry, as well as the fact that I think this movie Flanagan. To me, I don't think we've really haven't talked about this yet, Matt. But I really loved how Flanagan adapted Dr. Sleep from little I know of that book, and seeing how that man basically took a book that was so entrenched in the original, not like so entrenched in the original story that Kubrick completely changed for the movie and found a way to find a best of both worlds. It was a great adaptation to find a way to appreciate the novel, but also appreciate the Kubrick adaptation. And to just have Flanagan, who has just been taking the last few years, scooping up some great adaptations and some great works with Fall of the House of Usher, Hill House, Bly Manor, to like his totally not Stephen King OC Midnight Mass. Very clearly, like inspiration was a lot of King in there.
Yeah.
The Life of Chuck, I was hilariously like caught off guard, but also not surprised in terms of just like how good Flanagan is as a director and as a writer. But I think if anything, the thing that surprised me the most of it is there's a better term for it, but I'm going to say the schmaltziness. And I mean that in a positive sense. This movie is positive and earnest and sweet to the point of diabetic. Like, I think there's something here that, you know, most people knowing Flanagan knows that he's always had that in him, but I don't think we've ever seen it to this degree. So, I didn't want to take up all the whole time, so go for it.
No, that's fine. It's like I'm saving myself to talk more about it on the year in review episode, but my God, it's a movie that I haven't stopped thinking about since I saw it, and it's something that just feels like it's so triumphant. And to go back to talking about Flanagan and Dr. Sleep, I will say the thing that I say all the time when I talk about Dr. Sleep and Flanagan, that movie is nothing short of a freaking magic trick. The way that he brings together the novel The Shining, the movie The Shining, the novel Dr. Sleep, all together, it is absolutely just magic. And I know he's working on the Dark Tower, and God damn it, he needs to make the Dark Tower.
That poor man will never do anything else but Dark Tower if that succeeds. That's all he'll be doing. And
I'm perfectly okay with that.
If he's okay with that, I'm okay with that. But I just,
honestly, I feel like if he had his druthers, he would be okay with that. Not knowing the man at all, I know that he is a fan of the Dark Tower. He is the one who is meant to make the Dark Tower, in my opinion. So,
well, he also has he been trying to do a Pangborn? Has he been trying to do like a detective, like one of King's detective dramas? I thought he had another one, or at least he produced one of them or wanted to.
I don't know.
The man can do whatever he wants.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's he just wrapped a few months ago. He wrapped Carrie.
That's right.
That's coming probably next year, I think.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, just goddamn.
Stephen King's gonna have a Scrooge McDuck bank by the time Flanagan's done with this shit.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. But The Life of Chuck is just a beautiful, beautiful, life-affirming movie. The way that what I really appreciate about it is that while it is in the vein of like Stand By Me or Shawshank Redemption, which also I'd be remiss, I don't know if I'll be able to get an episode out before this episode goes out, but Rob Reiner, his passing, just it is unimaginable. And the work that he did, not only in the Stephen King universe with Misery and Stand By Me, but just his body of work as a director is phenomenal, and his performances
iconic
too.
In its own way.
Yeah. But The Life of Chuck, with it being in that kind of similar vein of Stand By Me or Shawshank Redemption, even though it is a more dramatic, life-affirming movie, it still doesn't shy away from the weirdness of it, the paranormal or the supernatural elements of it, the kind of wondrous like science fiction elements of it. And that's something that I had complete trust that Flanagan would nail, and he did. It was great.
Well, and also the emotional darkness of it. I have not read the original story, but I mean, Emma and my wife and I and a friend of hers watched this movie together, and we were all kind of taken aback at first by just how like grim the movie starts. I mean, it's wholly depressing. It is a heavy way to open your movie. And I think, that is a key element to how it earns all that sweet schmaltziness is, really going there in the dark places in the ways that, Flanagan has shown he loves to in his other work. But, to do that outside of kind of the horror genre in a more like kind of slice of life film, and then to, in a weird way, kind of reward you as the viewer or reinstill you with hope in the end after taking you to a really dark place at the very start, I thought was really cool. And I think is probably the key to its staying power for me. I also think Tom Hiddleston's great in it. I think Mark Hamill's great in it. So
Hamill just like is so shocking. Just in terms of just like you can feel. I don't know if he said it out loud, but like in terms of his love of acting, it seems like this film I think kind of reignited something in him. You can tell in the performance, and I think especially now we're at a point where creators are able to do King's weirder stuff now with bigger budgets and well enough that, the fact that we can even get an It adaptation and it's not absolute dog shit. We're now at a place where it's like, it's very delightful that, there are still creators out there that are not forgetting that while King is a great horror writer and has always been a great horror writer, he's also a great dramatic writer. Just a slice of life, drama, family, like so much. Like, I'm glad you brought up Reiner because of just the Stand By Me of it all and Darabont, and because I love Darabont's work with King, and it is just, the movie, seeing this with both my roommates where, Adam, who's a friend of our podcast and has read the novella, and I could hear him giggle with delight at certain choices that the movie makes that he caught on to.
That's awesome.
While my other roommate was sitting next to me crying profusely, going, this might be the best film I've ever seen. It was this nice, just kind of like build, like me being somewhat aware of the story and yet still being caught off guard by just how much it, I felt like it grabbed my heart and held on the entire time, all the way to that, I think, beautifulally somber final moment. That is, I think, very powerful.
Yes.
And I'm glad that this, because I think this movie just misses my top 10, but it's in my top 20 of the year for sure.
Nice.
Definitely.
The other thing about it that I wanted to touch on, and I completely lost my train of thought right now because I'm trying to figure out if it's storming or not. But no, I already talked about the life-affirming aspect of it. I don't know. Anyway, I'll talk about it in the year in review episode. Just absolutely wonderful. I'll talk about this just as a tangent. I've said this many times about Stephen King's writing, but it's so... I love when a movie like this breaks through because it is like flying in the face of the reductive argument of Stephen King as a horror writer, because he's not a horror writer. He writes horror stories, but he is someone who is incredibly adept at writing about humans and people and ordinary, slice of life, like normal working class people. And that's something that is so apparent throughout all of his work, really, and especially when someone like Mike Flanagan takes hold of it, it's undeniable. So, yeah. That is The Life of Chuck, and shall we go on to the next one, number 4, or in alphabetical order?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We've got Marty Supreme, which is a movie that we mentioned before that Did none of us make it to the screening? Because I know I didn't. I think I don't remember if that was okay. Logan was okay. Yeah. Nice. But fortunately, we were able to get a screener right before awards, like the cutoff for nominations, and I loved this movie. Timothée Chalamet. It's let's talk Marty Supreme. What did you guys think?
It's wild to think that A24 was able to get in the Safdie quote unquote divorce both Safdie solo films and not choose. Genuinely doesn't seem like they're choosing one over the other. Like I feel like they genuinely pushed Smashing Machine, I think, as much of as an early fall release as they could, and then Marty Supreme has now just been. They have been committing to this last month of just pushing the advertising. Timmy C on the Vegas Sphere is one of the funniest things. I can't
so ridiculous.
It is wild how, I think even though we weren't all at the screening, but like I think just in general as people who've seen Uncut Gems or a fan of Safdie's in some way, shape, or form, wondering how they would be by themselves. Mm-hmm. And then just to see that Josh Safdie is just doing what he was basically doing with his brother at Uncut Gems, but just by himself. Yeah. And
continuing in the same kind of anxiety-inducing comedy of errors vein.
Spending 7 years to turn Timothée Chalamet into a ping pong star for his 50s sports drama film with Kevin Leary from Shark Tank, Tyler the Creator, Abel Ferreira,
Penn Jillette.
It is
most
such
chaotic casting of the year right here in this movie.
At the screening, I remember going in and seeing that it was 2.5 hours, being like, if this movie is not entertaining, this is going to be so long. This is going to feel agonizing. And then just out the gate, it is making weird choices. It is goofy. It is funny. It is high octane. It is, I think as Mitch or someone said, like coked up Scorsese energy. It has it just has that kind of vibe of just really committing to its characters and committing to its cast, being a cast that you would not expect to give out performances that are just still captivating in themselves, even though they are not traditional actors. I mean, Kevin Leary has a monologue that is insane that I would argue is one of the best monologues of this year. It's just
he has a few scenes that are like,
he does.
Holy shit. I mean, the I'm a vampire bit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's the one I was thinking of. That
was some weird and wild, but like perfectly appropriate old money asshole type shit.
Yes.
I want that whole thing on a poster.
Like that line monologue. It felt like a David Wayne comedy for a moment. Like just this like weird. Yeah. Yes. Just so perfect. But yeah, the chaotic energy of this movie is so intense throughout. And what I love about it is that Marty, Timothée Chalamet, giving his best performance I've seen from him. Just absolutely just incredible. But that character is so unlikable. He's so he's so slick and very self-centered. And the movie isn't necessarily like as much a character study as you would expect it to be, or not as much of a like this is him softening throughout the movie. This is more like he's doing a lot of damage in the sense, or in the name of making it big and achieving his dreams and everything. And like the things that he leaves in his wake are of varying degrees of severity and everything. And I don't know. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it does soften him a little bit at the end.
Yeah. No,
but it's not the focal point.
It's hard, like, especially because have you both seen Good Time?
Mm-hmm. I have not.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is like, the reason why I think Uncut Gems was so, like, I gravitated towards Uncut Gems after seeing Good Time so much is the fact that, like, I think there was a part of me after seeing Good Time, I was worried that the Safdie brothers' protagonist was just going to be Robert Pattinson from Good Time again, but in this situation. And thankfully with Uncut Gems, that is not the case. It really was, it just depends on the performance and depends on the story for sure. But I think like with Marty Supreme, there was a part of me that was like, if this has that Uncut Gems energy, are they going to try to make Marty Howie? And the best part is it's not that at all, in my opinion. There are elements, there's similarities to it. There is a pathetic nature to Marty at times that is very Howie-esque. But I feel like the determination and the ego and just the absolute energy that Chalamet is bringing to it. Clearly, he is a fan of what the Safdies has done before, but is not using that to just like, he's not overshadowed by the past Safdie brothers films. He's Josh's past work. He's building something where I agree with you. I think this might be my favorite Chalamet performance, or one of his best performances. Nice. And I might even like this more than Uncut Gems. I'm still kind of on that fence, but I will say I never expected to be that into a ping pong movie.
Yeah,
but
same here.
Josh Safdie found a way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just kind of I loved this movie, but it's just kind of crazy to think that Safdie has sort of stayed in this lane of the anxiety attack, comedy of errors thing, and yet is able to kind of create a new experience out of it just by, really just changing how you feel about the main character. Both Howard Ratner in Uncut Gems and Marty Mauser are not good people, not necessarily likable people, but I think the overwhelming feeling for me during Uncut Gems, other than anxiety, was pity for Howard Ratner, because like he's such a fuck up. Like he's not good at anything. He's not really charismatic. He's always digging his hole deeper in a way that's like very obvious and like, dude, just don't do that kind of thing. And the difference with Marty Mauser is like, yeah, he's a weasel and a scumbag and a con artist and has a silver tongue, but like you also kind of sit there and you're like, he is that dude. Like he's got skills behind him. He's got the social, not tact is not the word, but that he plays the social game well. He's actually really good at ping pong and has, if a little bit excessive, an earned confidence in his abilities. And so it creates a totally different experience, because you're like watching this guy who has so much confidence and has the skills to mostly back it up, that you're like, he might actually do this thing, even as he takes like risk after risk to try and get there. Whereas with Uncut Gems, it's kind of like you can see the writing on the wall the whole time. You're like, how is this going to get worse and worse and worse for Howie? Marty Supreme just feels like a very different type of roller coaster.
And that's what
staying in a similar wheelhouse.
Yes, that is perfect. That's exactly what I kind of honed in on with it, is that it does feel like that Uncut Gems. It does feel like that like anxiety thrill ride that the Safdies do. But at no point did I feel like I didn't have like a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is just like Uncut Gems. This is just like that style. Like it had something else to itself that I feel like really separated it from it. I don't know if I can articulate it as well as you just did, Andy, but it definitely feels like it's of its own thing and very much in of its own thing. And it's a much better, in my opinion, show of solo force from one of the Safdie brothers compared to the Smashing Machine, which I didn't quite care for all that much.
Yeah.
So
are you telling me that remaking a documentary as a narrative drama didn't work for you?
No, it did not.
I mean, it definitely does help too that I think with this film, it's not necessarily bold, but I do think a lot of it has the fact that like I think it's the first time of the Safdies of Josh's previous two films that the main character is like one of the youngest actors of the ensemble.
In the film, yeah.
Like I do think it shows a lot that it's like with Howie, yeah, he's at a certain point you feel like if it's at different levels people go, he's too far gone. There's no way he's getting out of this hole. Well, as with Marty, you almost have these moments of like having a cast around him that is just a little bit older or even a few decades older than him helps that character have a self-reflection that none of the other safety protagonists really could ever get. Then I think that adds an element to it that I think really adds to Chalamet's performance and what the film is doing thematically as well as just emotionally. And yeah, Smashing Machine is fine at best, I would say. Like I was also in that same camp where it was like I see what they're going for. It just wasn't really clicking with me compared to this, where it's like, you know, there's that meme of a guy lounging in his chair and then going upright. It's like this movie is entirely me upright, just engaged the whole time, stressed out of my mind. Occasionally I could even look at the screen. I was so like embarrassed at times at what Marty was doing, but I was engaged. I definitely enjoyed this movie a lot.
Nice. Yeah, that's Marty Supreme. It is in theaters now, everyone.
Please go see it. Please go see it.
I finally got to see it in theaters with my wife the other night.
Nice.
How'd she feel about it? Did she like it?
She really enjoyed it. I think her takeaway was like, oh, I get it with regards to Timothée Chalamet. She's like, oh, I see it. I see it now.
Good old
It was a good one. I had her, I had her ready to leave the seat over the dog a few times because the dog is in deep peril several times, and you're very much worried it's going to die at several different points. But spoilers, the dog is okay.
Right.
I didn't even think about that aspect of it.
Yeah,
I didn't either until we were sitting there watching it, and she was like, "Andy, why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "I think it's okay."
Because I was really worried about the dog in Marty. I was really worried about him. His drive.
I will say, without like going into spoilers or anything, the opening credits were just like
so good, so fun.
So good, so wonderful.
That was probably the
wonderful like first half of a bookend to where the film ends.
Yes.
Probably first good laugh from the screening was probably like, what?
Yeah, that's Marty. Go ahead.
That.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And yeah, so that's Marty Supreme, and I would say I will say that we have no other choice but then to go to the next movie on the list.
I wonder what that could be.
Yes, it is Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. This is a movie about capitalism and going after a job in a very dark, comedic way. What did you guys think of No Other Choice and Park Chan-wook?
Man, the man just casually comes up to the halfway, like the half court, throws a ball and hits it every time. Like he even his weakest films, there is just a level, like a creativity that is unmatched. The creativity there is the edit. I mean, honestly, if anything, I want this film to get an editing nod so badly. I want this movie to get like just, if this wins anything at the Oscars, I would like it to win editing, but because this movie deserves so much more than that, but it's because it's an international film and it's Korean. I know it's just going to get like Best International at the Oscars, and it's probably going to get maybe one or two other, but like,
but you're right that like if it has like a single export that the world should be taking away from it, it's Kim Sang-bum's editing, who like he is consistently doing crazy wild new shit with his editing and does not slack at all here.
He never
either.
holds back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was a fan of Decision to Leave, which I believe was Park Chan-wook's previous film. I don't think he has anything in between. And I wasn't sure what to expect with No Other Choice. And when it gets into, like, I didn't even know the plot, honestly. So when it gets into what the main character is doing and his goal in what he's doing, I was just kind of gobsmacked by it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is a Park Chan-wook movie. We're along for this ride. This is going to be something else entirely. And I agree, the editing, the cinematography is absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Just the combination of that with editing is just, there's some shots that I haven't seen those kinds of transitions or those types of just filmic quality for a movie in a very long time, and just leave it to him to do something that I don't know if I'd say audacious, but that big and impressive.
Yeah, it's like anytime if anyone asked me like, was that Park Chan-wook movie good? It's hard not to roll your eyes and be like, yes, it's one of the best movies to come out that year. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to go wrong with him.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, sorry, Logan, go ahead.
No, I will say, like Marty Supreme, this is currently in theaters right now. So
yes.
Hopefully you get a chance. And if you're if you're an indie local, Can just announced they're getting it in mid-January. So if you do miss it in theaters, I think January 16th they might be getting it. So
that's
definitely see it in theaters. Yeah, I want to see it in theaters.
I'm kind of not sure if I'll be able to get to it in theaters on its main run here right now. Watching it on a screener DVD, though I'm thankful to Neon for sending that.
Yes.
Did not quite, I could tell I was missing some of the beautiful detail of the film.
Same.
But yeah, this movie is a really interesting, I don't know, I kind of a companion piece to Bong Joon-ho's Parasite in a way. And
yes.
I mean, I've seen... you look online, there's countless comparisons and people being like, Parasite again, but still very good. But, I think it is very different from Parasite while still going hand in hand with it, in that Parasite is a really interesting, upward view of, capitalism and the moral rot of it and what it does to people. But you're looking at it from the lower class, because the main characters in that are they're trying to get a piece of that better life. And what you've got here with No Other Choice is kind of more at that strata, because the main character is, he has a good life and he's got a good job and he's of a certain status that many would find enviable. And the movie's really more about, in a capitalistic system, what are you willing to do to protect what you have, when faced with the possibility of losing it. And so I think it's interesting in that it manages to be sympathetic while also really just kind of skewering the kind of amoral competition that's bred by capitalism and the disregard for human life that is bred by it. So it's a fascinating little picture of that.
It's willing to be very honest about how, when you're in a field for long enough, you have a professional persona that you build for yourself and be like, hey, we're not saying that there's nothing wrong to have that, but how much of that really does affect you as a person if that is at risk? Yeah. And how much does it say about you, how you respond to that being at risk? And I think that is... Park Chan-wook being able to talk about that in a very black comedy way, as well as a very, dramatic way, and just shows just how, he's never been just the guy that did Old Boy, but I know a lot of people only know of his work because of Old Boy. So it's great to see him, come back again after Decision to Leave, which is a film that I also absolutely adore. Yeah, just to be like, oops, another banger, and then we might not hear it again for another 2 to 3 years. But yeah, I love this movie.
Me too. And speaking as someone who has been podcasting for 13 years at this point, has almost 500 episodes of this show alone under his belt, and talking to the competition who has over 100 episodes, I'm just looking forward to murdering you guys.
I love when you said competition, I almost did a look behind me, what is he talking about? Oh, us.
Well, you've got your work cut out for you, Matt, because there's 2 of us and 1 of you.
That is very true. But with No Other Choice, there was this this kind of point of no return. Like, it's such a serious subtext. There's such serious subtext to it that's similar to Parasite, like that classism, the kind of just eking out a living or trying, like finding what drives you and keeping that even when it's being torn away. Like, there's some big themes at play here, but there are moments where it's really playing up the dark comedy, the black comedy of it all. And like, there's a moment where it kind of takes a turn to where it's like, oh, okay, this character is turning in this direction, but it's a direction that the movie has been going toward from the beginning. And it's just such an interesting balancing act that we have this black comedy that allows us to laugh at that kind of action that he's taking. And then when we reach a point where it's like, oh, okay, there's a turning point here, it still retains that comedic aspect while also going further into the darkness of it. I just thought that was handled really well, and I don't know if I made any sense saying it.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah,
and
here.
Park Chan-wook is just one of those who can kind of do it all genre-wise and tone-wise, and that's on full display here because it's violent, it's funny, it's dark, it's serious, it's social commentary, it's goofball. Like, he can do everything.
It's taking one of the most popular Korean actors globally and showing yet again.
Mr. Squid Game?
Yeah, Mr. Squid Game himself. It's showing that. It's showing. Is it Lee Byung-jin?
Lee Byung-hoon, I think.
Lee Byung. Yeah, it's showing him in a light that shows yet again why he is as popular as he is, because he's just phenomenal in this movie, and Park Chan-wook just knows how to use him effortlessly, and the whole cast in general. Like, yeah, I'm glad this movie was in our top 10 because I think it was of the international films this year. Like, since this movie is coming out so late in the year, I was wondering how much the conversation would be about it. So yeah, thank God for Neon to get those Bibles out.
Oh my God,
enough.
yes. Yes. The highlight of all of our critic years, I think. Just getting that Neon Bible is just great. So that was no other choice. Like we said, it's in theaters, going to have a bigger release in mid-January, I believe. But the next movie on the list, we have Train Dreams, which is streaming on Netflix. I have a couple of anecdotes about this that I want to share, and then we can get into it. One being that I was supposed to see this at Heartland, but traffic was so bad. Like, there was a really bad accident, like half a mile away from Newfields. So like, I didn't make it to the screening, and I was kind of bummed about that because this is a very beautiful movie, and it would have been really cool to see it on a big screen.
As someone who literally just watched it last night on my, I had the lights off. Nice. I had the ambience as much as I could. I genuinely did have the thought of, man, this could go up a half star if it was just in a theater. Like, I mean, it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the second anecdote that I have is that I believe we ended up awarding Will Patton for a vocal. Yeah, he was the winner for vocal and motion capture performance. So a little anecdote about that. I did not know what Train Dreams was. So when I saw his name on the nomination list for voiceover and motion capture, I didn't put together that like he narrated the film. I didn't, for some reason, I thought like, is there some like,
he's gonna play a tree or something?
Well, that's the thing. I thought like, oh, is part of this movie like animated or something?
Right.
And then I had somehow gotten into my head and then falsely confirmed it in a group chat that like, oh, he's the voice of the train. And when I started watching it, the movie opens with the perspective of like from the front of a train going on the track, and you hear Will Patton's voiceover, and he's talking about Joel Edgerton's character, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, so he is the voice of the train. That's kind of interesting. And here's the embarrassing thing. It was not until about 3/4 of the way through the movie that I stopped to think, wait a second. And like I paused it and I looked up on IMDb and like, again, he's just narrating it. He's not a freaking train. So yeah. So despite that, I found the movie pretty good. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily my favorite. I feel like there were some elements of it that felt a little bit lacking in terms of really bringing home the emotion of the story.
Yeah.
But I think on like in overall terms, it's a really interesting kind of slice of life thing for this one like tree logger over the years. And it's very muted and it's very understated throughout it. And I think that is something that will work for a lot of people, but just didn't really resonate with me the way that I would have liked it to. Still a really good movie. What did you guys think of Train Dreams?
I was kind of in the same boat. I liked this movie. I think there's a lot of pieces of it that really sung for me. Some of the best cinematography of the year. I mean, it's the kind of photography that you like walk out of the theater and then you're like looking around at the world around you and you're like, man, life really is beautiful, huh?
Yeah. We need more talking trains.
Yeah, exactly. My car started talking to me and it sounded like Will Patton. It was weird. But there's kind of a wonderful storybook quality to this, aided by Will Patton's voiceover narration and just the overall kind of vignetted structure of it that I really liked. That being said, yeah, the personal story of Robert Grenier, Joel Edgerton's character, did not really hit that hard for me, and I think that's largely because the movie seems like really overly fixated on two specific things that happened to him in his life, and both of which are understandably deeply affecting and traumatic for him. But it just feels like, if we're telling the story about this whole guy's life, and not just his life, but also using it as like a microcosm of this time in history and all of the changes in the world that were happening at the time, which that aspect I actually thought was really cool. I feel like we should be doing a little bit more work to unpack all that and where he was at psychologically with it. But it just kind of feels like the movie is playing the same note and repeating the same images over and over again, rather than like actually digging into his psyche and what's going on in his responses to things. I think it also doesn't help that his wife is kind of a nothing character, and then she ends up being this pivotal role in how his life proceeds. So yeah, a lot of things I really liked, particularly on like an aesthetic and storytelling level, but the writing and the characters for me kind of lacked.
Yeah, I agree. Logan, how'd you feel about Train Dreams, since it's fresh in your mind?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely slow. I think is one of the things too that I think it takes its time. I think, if I had not realized it was under 2 hours, I would have assumed it was a little over 2 hours, but it really does. I don't know. I think its strongest moments, it feels like this really, like it's going for this classic, almost trying to do a classic American tale type, feel of the beauty of the nature, particularly just like the America as a country, as well as how much it has evolved in so little time, and how, also talk about how life passes by so quickly, and yet that doesn't make life any less meaningful or meaningless. And there's a lot that it does like kind of throw at you that it doesn't fully develop. But I think that overall, like you've said already, like the visuals are just majestic. I think there's a way to describe it as just like the beauty of the cinematography and the landscapes. The ensemble, I think, does a really good job with what they're given. I think Edgerton as an actor I mean, he just has that energy as Robert Grenier that, like, if he ever wanted, like, if he played an immortal, I think he can give the sadness of a man who's been sad for centuries in his face.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just has this, like, you can see in his face how much he is being, you know, affected traumatically through the events of the movie, and yet he doesn't ever evoke a single word talking about it fully.
Yeah.
And you can see in his face. I mean, William H. Macy is delightful in his little role in
absolutely.
it. And Felicity Jones is an actress where, like, yeah, she doesn't get a lot to do as Gladys Grenier, but, like, you understand why she is, like, his light and why he's constantly coming back. And I think there's a lot to this movie that I really enjoyed. I think it's overall pretty great, but I do think it could have been even better.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It was very it was a vibe, I guess, is the
Yeah.
as to whittle it down to the most basic thing to describe it. It is a specific vibe where I didn't realize I could listen to Will Patton. Like, I wanted him to tell me about Johnny Appleseed, Paul Bunyan, John Henry. Like, there's just this energy of, ye old American classics.
Yes.
Type thing.
And that was something that stood out to me. Will Patton's narration stood out to me from the top, because, to bring it back to Stephen King, Will Patton has narrated several of Stephen King's audiobooks over the years. Most notably, he's narrated the Bill Hodges trilogy and the other Holly Gibney stories. And so I, like, had this moment early on in the movie, aside from thinking that he was a train, I had this moment where I was like, I'm just so instantly comforted by his voice and so instantly, like, enamored with it that, like, I guarantee I was focused probably 10% more than I would have if I didn't have that context. So just like that, just hats off to Will Patton and his vocal cords. Really, really good stuff.
How much more focused would you be if you had seen his face on a train?
Oh, I would have been locked in. That would have been my movie of the year.
Like Thomas the Tank Engine levels of this Patton's face.
Well, that's just how the tree falls. Wink. End credits.
Narrated by Ringo Starr.
Yes. But that is Train Dreams. It is on Netflix, and the next one on the list. We're at the penultimate of the finalists. Let's talk about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, a movie that I reviewed not long ago on the podcast. My thoughts have been made clear there. I thought that it was as good a Knives Out mystery as has been before it, and I'm still very much enamored with that Benoit Blanc world as it continues on. And while this movie didn't focus as much on the ensemble and the satirical side of things, what it did in terms of examining, like, faith and people, like doubt and all of these different, like, heavy things, that is a trade-off that I was more than welcome into my eyeballs. What did you guys think of Wake Up Dead Man, and how does it rank with the other Benoit Blanc mysteries?
I mean, I have to say, coming from the man who quote-unquote killed Star Wars with The Last Jedi, it is just phenomenal how we're 3 Knives Out films in, and he still finds a way to make them unique and interesting and fun. And the fact that Craig's performance, I feel like in each one of these films, because I think Benoit not being the lead is phenomenal, decision making at every single turn. But I think this one has a very interesting emotional aspect in terms of seeing a side of Blanc that you don't get to see in the other 2 films, that I think works well with Josh O'Connor being, in my opinion, because we'll probably, Andy and I have yet to do our top 10 of the year for Odd Trilogies, but I guess a slight spoiler to Andy, this is probably on my top 10.
Yeah,
I will
probably is in mine too.
And I will say that I think it might be the hottest take. I don't know, depending on the two of you. But I think Josh O'Connor's Judd Duplicity is the best Knives Out protagonist we've gotten so far. Like, I think in terms of the writing, I think in terms of the writing and his involvement in the plot, I mean, there's one scene in particular that is just him and his job, and it has nothing to do with the mystery, that I think is a perfect scene.
Me too.
I think really
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, it really is it just shows how much Ryan as a director really knows that, like, these whodunits are so much fun because of the big casts and how silly they can be, and really trying to do this web of weave and murder. But it really is just kind of overall, it's about it's real people. Like, the stakes, you have to make it feel like it's real people and real things are at stake. And I think this movie really handles it well. And also, this movie just is gorgeous too. Yeah. Like the way it uses lighting, the way it uses a stained glass motif for flashbacks. Like, there's some really Glass Onion. I still really enjoy Glass Onion a lot. I still think it's great, but it clearly has that COVID energy of, like, trying to figure out how to make it work. As well as trying to work as a sequel to a really popular film. Well, I think Wake Up Dead Man doesn't have any of that baggage. I think it just stands on its own incredibly well, and I think it's great.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't add too much that you guys haven't already said. You've summed up my thoughts pretty much perfectly. Steve Yedlin, I think, is an unsung hero of modern, particularly digital cinematography. I mean,
absolutely.
So few people are shooting movies with the level of intent and technical understanding, especially on digital cameras, that he is. And like you said, Logan, his and Johnson's combined use of light is phenomenal. I'm not sure I've ever seen a movie that, like, is using that kind of everyday phenomenon of just the sun kind of waxing and waning behind clouds as, like, the pace setter of a scene, and the, you know, kind of sets the beat of everything. So good. And yeah, just really appreciated that Johnson kind of took a chance to do something a little bit different that still felt recognizable as a Benoit Blanc mystery, but instead of being a goofy gonzo huge cast comedy, was more of a reflective examination of faith and the wonderful and terrible things that it can be used to do to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Totally agree. And for more of my thoughts, listen to episode 496 of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. And to close out the finalists, since we're running a little low on time, let's go to Weapons, the thriller horror movie from Zach Cregger. I do believe that this will be on my personal top 10. I need to rewatch it and figure out where it's going to go on it. But again, it's the best, like, it's the best vibe of a Stephen King story without being tied to any Stephen King story. Like, the storytelling in Weapons is so much of an homage to King's storytelling that it feels like a Stephen King story without being a Stephen King story. And I just loved it for that. The way that it shifts perspectives through those flashbacks and through those different framing devices of like circling back and having us have more detail as we know what this character is going through. Really, really spellbinding for me. It was really captured my attention. And the way that the overall story is just about this community that has failed as a community. And that's why it's been so kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but basically, like, it being pigeonholed by this event, this thing, this mystery that's happened is just so engaging to me. I loved this movie. Weapons, what did you guys think?
I think Jordan Peele's jump from Get Out to Us walked so Zach Cregger's jump from barbarian to weapons could run. Like, I very much feel like the pipeline of comedian turned horror auteur to a degree would not be where it is today if it weren't for Peele in a modern sense. And I think Cregger is taking that and just running with scissors while being on fire with this film to a degree that I think that, like, this felt like, especially with this year, almost felt like a lightning in a bottle moment for Warner Brothers and for Cregger, and just for an R-rated horror film that wasn't a Blumhouse, like, sneak this out kind of film. Like this,
right?
There is a lot of, like, there's a lot of this film that shouldn't work. There is a non-traditional narrative, completely non-chronological order. They even switch genres at times in terms of between the thriller and the comedy aspects. I thought it was great too. I do think if this is in my top 10, I mean, I need to double check in my head and go through it again. But, like, I think out of all the films that could be in my top 20 of the year, I've seen this one the most.
Nice.
Mainly because, like, in terms of rewatches, because in the span of a week, like, Andy and I saw this on a Thursday night because his wife couldn't see this when we initially were going to see it on a Sunday. And then we saw it again Sunday. And then my roommate went to go see it with his girlfriend that Tuesday, and I went with them. So, like, 3 days in a week. And it was so fascinating. I think it's a great, encapsulation of the movie theater experience, because all three of those times the theaters were just buzzing in different ways.
Nice.
And I really just kind of enjoyed that experience, and the movie will always kind of have that tied to me. But I really enjoyed it. I think the movie's great.
Nice. Andy?
Yeah, I guess I'll be the negative Nancy on this.
Yeah, that's
one.
right. Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie. I'll say that. My feelings on it are more positive than they are negative, but I did feel a little bit I felt some FOMO on the kind of huge wave that this movie had in terms of the public enthusiasm and like you said, Logan, the theatrical experience, because people were loving this movie. I think it's fun. I like Zach Cregger's voice as a writer and a filmmaker. I think he has a good kind of lock on the intersection of what's funny and what's scary, and the fact that something can be both at the same time. I think, he's kind of got that nailed down. I think it all comes down to me, the kind of the majority of the film, the first 3/4 or what have you, the build up and the finale ultimately feel really disconnected for me thematically. And that has been a point of major discussion amongst some of our colleagues. But
you can say his name, Evan.
I really enjoyed up to a point what this movie was doing with, like, hopping around the different perspectives and giving you a sense of, like, here is how the community is responding to this in different parts of it. But then in the end, it felt like, well, I guess none of that really mattered, is how it felt for me, because of I won't spoil, but the reveal, the kind of grand finale of it all, while fun and kind of silly and over the top in a way that was entertaining, to me felt like it took the wind out of that buildup and made me feel like, well, I kind of feel like I watched two different movies and they were both fun, but they had nothing to do with each other. So that kind of held it back from greatness for me. I don't think this will be, well, I know this will not be in my top 10, but it certainly won't be toward the bottom of my movies for the year either. It's a solid, fun crowd pleaser, but and I'm still excited for what Cregger does next. I'm really curious about Resident Evil, and I think he's a cool filmmaker.
Oh, that's right. He's doing Resident Evil.
Yeah, next year too, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of comedy people making the jump to horror, next year Curry Barker is coming out with Obsession, which I'm very excited about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's part of the That's a Bad Idea comedy group on TikTok and social media. He also did that horror short film a year or two ago, Milk and Cereal, that I feel like if Obsession does what I hope it does, I think he'll be a very interesting voice in horror. So that's on my radar for next year. Yeah. And that was Weapons. It is streaming on HBO Max. And we are almost out of time, but let's talk about the runner-up and the best film of the year as voted on by our critics group, the Indiana Film Journalists Association. The runner-up is available to stream. Both of these are available to stream on HBO Max. The runner-up is One Battle After Another. Paul Thomas Anderson, Leo DiCaprio, Chase Infinity, Tiana Taylor, and Benicio del Toro. How did you guys feel about One Battle After Another? And how do you feel about it being the runner-up for best film this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie is, it's just one of those that it is the hype. It lives up to the hype. It earns all of its stripes. As much as I just almost kind of on a purely aesthetic level, I hate to see when we give all our awards to like 2 movies, just because I think that's boring. It's hard to argue with this movie being up there for all of them, or for so many of them, just because, I mean, it's PTA firing on all cylinders, doing stuff we've never seen him do before. It's funny to think that he was describing this movie as like his mass appeal movie.
His mass appeal 2 hour 45 minute
like his take on a action thriller blockbuster political thing. But I mean, I can't say much that hasn't been said better, but everybody in this is great. Chase Infinity is phenomenal. Leo's phenomenal. What's his name? Sean Penn's Walk.
Sean Penn.
An Oscar.
Sean Penn's haircut.
His and his haircut.
his and red face.
Awful mouth. Yeah. Just great shit all around. I mean, it's thrilling. It's hilarious. It's endearing. Benicio del Toro as Sensei, what more can be said? He's like the best thing ever and the key to the whole movie. So like, man, it's just great.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a moment right now that it's like the love of One Battle After Another has kind of subsided for the holiday season. But once we get closer to Oscars happening, it's all we're going to hear about because the movie deserves all the love it deserves. It's the reason why it is where it's at in our rankings and like in our awards. It is Paul Thomas Anderson on all cylinders, and the ensemble's great, the score is great, the cinematography is great. It's across the board. It is just great.
Totally agree. That rolling chase sequence at the end, just gorgeous.
Wonderful,
absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminds me that I really did not like Inherent Vice, and this feels like PTA just kind of like rectified that for me. I don't think I will go back and watch Inherent Vice and like it, but this feels like what this movie for me was on the wavelength that I feel like he wanted audience to be on for Inherent Vice, if that makes sense. This worked for me in so many ways.
Yeah, PTA has a lot of, I guess, generational bangers in his filmography, and I feel like this movie will be seen down the line as his 2020s probably generational. Just like his movie that really cemented that PTA's still here. He's still doing what he's doing, and he's doing it great.
Yeah.
His TikTok era banger.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks to Chase Infinity. Infinity.
Yes. Indie native. So the best film of the year as voted on by the Indiana Film Journalists Association. Are you guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yes.
All right. It is a movie directed by Ryan Coogler, and it stars it's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. Sinners. This came out in I think May. It's available to stream on HBO Max now. I loved it. I need to go back and watch it again, but just the whole feel of it is it's just so good. What did you guys think of Sinners?
I think there are certain years where, I mean, it depends, again, depends on person to person, but there are certain years where it does probably seem cliche to say, yes, that film that people have been praising for months and months on end is actually one of the best films of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to agree that Sinners is one of the best films to come out this year. And I have thought about it since it has come out. I've listened to the soundtrack incessantly. I've thought about shots in the movie. The fact that the movie was getting re-released on 70mm in fucking December after its initial release, with one battle after another, both of these films getting 70mm re-releases months after their initial runs, I think speaks to how much it is speaking to audiences and how many people are gravitating towards it. And yeah, I love this movie. I was surprised to see it be our number one, and I'm glad it was. But it I mean, when it's a spade, it's a spade. This movie's great.
Yeah,
I love this movie.
Oh yeah. I voted for Zootopia too, so I can't really talk too much about it.
So you must have been really sad when it didn't even hit the top 10.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I sacrificed all my chits for it. Andy, how did you feel about Sinners?
Yeah, man, I love this movie. It's just for lack of a better term, fucking rad. I mean, it's like such a fun blend of genres and styles and influences. I remember, well, I mean, you guys can probably relate because we are, you know, as film journalists kind of plugged in all the time, and inevitably we're going to be thinking about, like, when we sit down to watch a movie, like, you know, what are people going to think of this? Like, you know, a lot, it's there's several movies throughout the year you sit down and you watch and you're like, okay, everybody's going to be talking about this one. And I remember this movie kind of sneaking into theaters. It didn't have like the biggest marketing campaign. I remember like Mitch Ringenberg, also in the IFJA, reached out to me like a couple weeks before it came out and was just like, he was like, hey, I was looking for a movie to go see at the State Museum IMAX, and I forgot Ryan Coogler's got a movie coming out. You want to go see that? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, that'd be fun, like very casual. And we get to the theater and it's full. Like, I mean, we bought our tickets in advance. We were fine, but like was shocked to see a packed house on, I think, opening night. And the funny thing was, even with all that, even with a packed theater and kind of being surprised by how great it was, I don't remember thinking during the movie like that everybody's going to be talking about this. I was kind of like, okay, this is weird. It's a like period piece for the first half of it. You know, a kind of social racial drama for a good chunk of it, and then it's like it's kind of from dusk till dawn for a while, and then at the end it like really hits you in the feels with all the payoffs to the rich characters that it has built up in its first 2/3. And so, you know, it was just like, for me it was just like, this is just like a riveting genre movie. It's great. I loved it immediately, but I was also just like, I don't think this is going to have huge appeal. It feels like Ryan Coogler kind of digging deep and going into like his interests and being very specific with it. So then, I mean, after like Mitch and I walked out of that movie really impressed, having a lot of fun. And then like a week later, everyone was talking about it, and we were kind of looking at each other like, holy shit, this is suddenly the movie of the year. And well deserved.
Yeah. I feel like I was practically fucking vibrating when I left that theater. Like I couldn't believe Coogler took all of his goodwill after Creed. Like, I mean, when you have the amount of clout that man has after doing the Creed films, after doing Black Panther, and basically saying like he could always come back to do a Black Panther 3, like he has so many big hits behind his belt, to just make a straight up vampire, like early 20th century horror drama film that is big budget on 70 millimeter, and also say, by the way, I own all the rights to this, so we're not making 18 sequels to this movie. This movie is just going to be a passion project through and through, and that's it. And it to be as good as it is, like, I think that is something special. And I think it's one of the reasons why it deserves that.
I would call this a Hall of Famer use of a blank check. Like,
absolutely,
to go from, not saying these movies are bad really, but like Black Panther and Creed and stuff, and just come out here with this movie that he totally owns and delivers on every front. And it's just this bombastic celebration of film and crazy, emotional, spooky thing is just so fucking fun.
That scene, the dance scene, the generational dance scene, basically, that
traveling song.
That is still one of the just best sequences I saw all year.
Eyes widened. I was just like, oh my gosh, Coogler, god damn it.
Yep.
And just again, Ludwig, as a composer, starting like on fucking Community.
Yes.
And to get to this point and to have so many songs on the Sinner soundtrack be so phenomenal and so many pieces on there that it's just like, I cannot wait to just... Yeah, it was one of those movies when I left the theater, like, because I went with my ex at the time, and I was just like, I just had this feeling like, if you ask me a single question, I'm not going to stop talking about this movie. Like, I could talk about this movie for days, and I was so glad I was able to see it. Not only, like, I saw it twice in theaters and once on 70 millimeter, and man, Andy, seeing that, like, full theater and 70 millimeter was truly something amazing. So,
damn, I wish I could have seen it then.
I mean, considering how popular it's been this year, maybe they'll find some time this year to put it back in 70.
I hope so.
I mean, they've already re-released it once.
3 times this year, I think.
3 times?
Yeah, they did it. They extended its original release because Thunderbolts got in the way of it, and then they came back.
That's right.
And then they did it again, I think, for Halloween season.
Yeah, like October.
And then I think this month, I think they just did another 70 millimeter run. So I think, I mean, with IMAX, especially with Odyssey next year, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to bump up people's excitement for it by, like, oops, we dropped Sinners for a few more weekends.
Right.
But I'm glad to see this be our best film of IFJA.
Me too.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Yeah. Sure. And that is the top 10 from the IFJA. I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can find them and everything. But final question, is there a movie that you guys would have liked to have had in the list, either as a finalist or runner-up or film of the year? While you guys think about it, I'll just say the last movie I saw before voting was The Plague. It blew me away. Yeah. Just
still need to watch it.
Amazing.
You guys were really talking it up in discussions. I need to watch it.
Yeah. It was great. Unfortunately, I don't think it got any love across the board at all. But I mean, man, it's such a unique coming of age story. It is about bullying kids, and there were moments where it dives into just horror, like psychological horror that it has stuck with me. It's an amazing, amazing movie, The Plague. So that's what I would put in there.
The Plague would probably be my answer too, and partly because being involved with the tabulation of votes, I know that it was close, and so it was kind of, darn it, didn't quite get in. But yeah, just a really distinct, a singular kind of depiction of adolescent social trauma, and awesome child cast ensemble.
Yes.
But you know what? The interesting thing about that is, like, even though it didn't really show up in any of our winners or anything at the end, it was surprisingly present in our discussion, like at the meeting.
Yeah.
It came up a lot, and I was really happy to see that, and that so many people responded to it. So I do think it's very much worth checking out. I think it's kind of like the dark other side of the coin to, like, Bo Burnham's 8th Grade.
Yes,
So
100%.
if you're listening and you've seen that, I think it's worth checking this out for similar reasons, even though it's a very different movie.
I was already sold before, but now I'm even more sold because I love Eighth Grade. But yeah.
Yeah, me too. Logan, what would your pick be for a movie that didn't make the list that you would add?
I think because we had a critics only screening for this film in October, I believe. And I remember a lot of the critics leaving. We were kind of all over the place at the time, but as time has gone on, when we saw the critics only screening of this, I had not read the book this was based off of, but when I saw it a second time, I had read the book. This movie is now, in my opinion, a warm blanket movie where I think now this will be just like my go-to when talking about adaptations on top of like Flanagan's work. But I would recommend Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein if you haven't. That movie, especially after reading the book before seeing it on the second viewing, there is just so much love and attention to detail for how Del Toro, being clearly a lover of the 30s Universal monster film, but also the Mary Shelley original, and found a way to get his monster kid nerd brain and his Mary Shelley like nerd brain and found a way to make an adaptation that is gothic, is grand. It was one out of all the Netflix releases this year where I just like, God, I wish they cared more about their theatrical releases.
Yeah.
This was the film that like seeing people be like, God, I'm so glad I got to see this in theaters. I'm so glad we were able to get a chance to see it in theaters because it is such a grandiose, gorgeous film that like, while I understand it was just, missed our top 10 to a degree, I loved it. And since Andy said The Plague as well, I'll put Splitsville out there too.
Nice.
Splitsville
Love
was
Splitsville.
great. There's a lot of 2025 was a phenomenal year. There was a lot of great films.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, that will just about do it for this week's episode. Once again, where can people find you guys online and what is to come on Odd Trilogies?
Yeah, I'll let Logan intro the next episode, but Odd Trilogies, oddtrilogies.com, Odd Trilogies on Instagram and Facebook. We are on all the major streaming platforms. And I think our next episode after this publishes is actually our dueling top 10s, but we just had a great little Christmas episode if Logan wants to talk about that.
Absolutely. So, like Andy brought up earlier with Mitch, and I brought up as well, we had a fellow IFJA member, Mitch Ringenberg, on for our final episode of 2025, being the Silent Night, Deadly Night trilogy.
Nice.
Which was, I think the year prior in 2024, we didn't have any Christmas trilogies, so we thought, what better way than to have two Christmas trilogies this year? We did the Robert Zemeckis CGI Christmas films and Beowulf because we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a wiggle room on that. Yeah. And then did these Christmas slasher films that, started off with a very weirdly controversial first film and then only gets weirder and also worse as it goes on.
Yeah.
Nice.
But because this episode's coming out New Year's Eve, correct, Matt?
Correct.
Yeah. On January 6th, our first episode of the next year, we are going to be doing, like Andy said, our top 10. But as a little sneak preview, January 13th will actually be our very first episode. We won't reveal what that is yet, but we're kicking off the first 2 weeks of January with our top 10s of 2025, as well as our first episode of 2026. But we're very excited. Next year's got some crazy films coming out, so we got some crazy ideas for what we want to do, and we're really excited. And Matt, thank you so much for letting us join.
Of course, yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining me this week. Go check out Logan and Andy's work over at Odd Trilogies. I'm going to start giving the end of episode call to action that I usually do, so I'm going to read it. That's it for this week's episode of The Obsessive Viewer. As always, thank you so much for listening, and make sure to follow the show on social media and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app. Also, check out Obsessive Viewer Podcast's other shows, Tower Junkies, a Stephen King podcast, hosted by Tiny and myself, and Anthology, the Twilight Zone and classic sci-fi podcast hosted by me. Next time on the show, either Welcome to Derry or a movie review. I'm not sure. Oh, episode 500 is coming. That's going to be exciting. Until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. And now, enjoy this short clip from a recent Patreon-exclusive episode. For the full episode and more Patreon-exclusive content, sign up at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. It also feels just so right for that stage of the walk, that stage of the story, and it's really bleak. Once again, it's really bleak. This is a very bleak book, with no happy ending, no overthrowing of anything, just perfect, like, Stephen King-isms all around. I'm probably going to rate this 4 stars overall. And I mean, I don't know how far up it'll be in my Stephen King rankings, but in terms of just absolute bleakness, it is definitely up there. So yeah, this was really good. This was really good. And thank you for listening to the Obsessive Viewer podcast. This episode was produced and edited by me, Matt Hurt. If you have feedback, thoughts on our episodes, or just want to connect, you can email me at matt@obsessiveviewer.com. For more information on this show, including a full archive of our episodes and show notes, visit obsessiveviewer.com. And if you enjoyed the show, please give us a follow on social media and subscribe to us on your podcast app of choice so you never miss an episode. Also, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Audible to help increase our visibility and grow our community. If you want to support the show and get early access to new episodes, as well as a steady stream of exclusive episodes, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. For information on more podcasts presented by obsessiveviewer.com, visit obsessiveviewer.com/podcasts. Our theme song is A Little Mad Sometimes by As Good As It Gets. For more of their music, check them out on Spotify and at asgoodasitgetsmusic.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn. Check out the show notes for your promo code to get started podcasting today.